I just want to again talk about how impressed I am. I'm all for a good hike, Anthony. You know what I mean? You go for a nice hike. Maybe you make it a 2-dayer, right? You go, you camp, and then you hike back. But 2 days is pretty much all I got. And like even then, it's like I can't wait to get home and take a shower and sleep in my bed and take a glorious nap. That's all good. You went on quite a hike. How
For sure.
long was this hike?
Well, let me be clear though. You're talking when you see the hike. We're not talking about the Darien Gap in specific. Right? You're talking just going for all the
The
way
whole
across
journey.
this whole
The
route, right?
whole journey. Yeah, the whole journey. Starting in
Yeah.
Quito,
So
Ecuador.
yeah. So nobody. So we're all clear here. Nobody actually is walking that whole way. I mean, there's certainly large stretches where they walk, but nobody's walking that whole way. You'll walk for, you'll get to Quito, Ecuador. But just so everybody's clear what we're talking about here. I mean, what I did was I basically took this whole mass migration route, if you even want to call it that. It's not a migration route. It's more of an invasion trail is what it is, from Quito, Ecuador, all the way to the United States border, crossing the Darien Gap, you know, as far as Mexico goes, getting smuggled into Mexico by the Sinaloa cartel, riding the train of death. I mean, the whole thing was nuts. But nobody's actually walking that whole way. It's buses, it's planes if you're Chinese or one of these special interest groups, and then the walking, if anything happens through the Darien Gap or through Mexico, because Mexico's actually got road stops on every major highway going through their country up north, and where they stop buses and they check everybody's passport and they'll pull you off and send you back across the border into Guatemala if you're an illegal. So in Mexico, you got a lot of people walking across, but otherwise it's buses and planes.
Amazing. Okay. So again, yeah, just to be clear that this Anthony we were talking to went from Quito all the way to Texas, and we'll talk about what happened when he got to the Texas border. Just again, incredibly impressive that you decided to do it and were able to pull it off and video it the whole way and not get killed. So let's start from the very beginning. So why Quito, Ecuador?
Because that country, plain and simple, it's the easiest country, one of the easiest countries in the world to fly into, as far as visa requirements.
So you don't need a visa to get off the plane or something? There's no like customs when you get off?
No, I'm not saying there isn't, but I'm just saying the entry requirements to that country are very easy. I mean, almost all countries can basically just fly in, without much back and forth with any embassy or anything like that.
Interesting. So you fly into Quito, and I think what hooked me on your video, and you came out quick with it, is when you land in Quito, the UN was there ready. What did you see?
Oh, yeah. You get there, and, all you have to do is really ask around. We had an idea where we were going to go already, though, but, you ask around, you're like, like, ¿Dónde está los migrantes? Where are the migrants at? And people will start pointing you in the right direction. And, what we did was we landed in Quito. We weren't there for long. We took a bus to this border town called Tolkien, right next to Colombia. Right, but this is still in Ecuador, though. And the whole town, I mean, literally in this town, the UN hands out maps of the town, and on this map, it has just a list of every single government and non-government organization that these so-called migrants could stop at and just stock up on aid and instructions and whatever else, healthcare, any sort of aid you could imagine that these people might get or need. You can get it there, stock up, refuel, and then keep going.
And maps on different routes to get to America?
Oh, yeah. Yeah, that you start to see that a little bit closer to the Darien Gap, but those maps are all over, like Doctors Without Borders, Red Cross, Norwegian Refugee Council. The UN has its own maps. Highest has maps, the Hebrew Immigrant Aid Society. And, you see those all over, man. And some of it's very large scale. Like here's how you go all the way from Darien Gap to the U.S. border. Some of them are country by country, but there's maps all over the place.
That's unbelievable. So that was the first thing that just walloped me is like, wow, this is way more organized and controlled, and therefore I would conclude purposeful than I guess I imagined. How did you get from Ecuador to Colombia? How did you cross that border?
Well, we just crossed. It was just like a foot crossing, basically. You cross that border, even if you go through the official entry point, you don't even. It's like the most unofficial border crossing area you've ever seen, right? Or the most unofficial port of entry, I should say, that you've ever seen. You walk across, and like getting your passport stamped is an optional. I didn't have to get my passport stamped. I could have just walked right into Colombia and kept walking down the road. Like nobody checked anything. So it's on you to go in and get your passport stamped. And you see right there at the border crossing, you see all of these, soon to be United States illegal aliens walking from Ecuador into Colombia with their World Health Organization backpacks and just walking right through and
unbelievable,
checking on through.
Okay, so. All right, a couple questions. When did you really hook up with your first group of fellow migrants? And you look kind of Hispanic or something, you know what I mean? But I'm sure your gear looked conspicuous, right? Did you stand out at all in the groups you were traveling with?
Oh, yeah. Oh, we stood right out. And
okay.
I normally would say, it depends on who I was talking to. If I was talking to, a smuggler, I usually would just be very honest with who I was, because these are not people you want to get caught in a lie with. But with these other people,
What'd you say? I'm a journalist exposing the invasion of America led by you?
I wouldn't. That I wouldn't say. But as far as, I would just be honest that I was an American. If they asked, if they didn't say anything, I wouldn't put it out there. But if they asked, okay. I'd be like, yeah, here's who I am, here's what I'm doing, or here's sort of what I'm doing. But as far as these people go, we stuck out big time, for number one. Number two, the first big group that we encountered was right before we entered the Darien Gap, and it was basically this massive, actually, I don't know if I'd call it a caravan, but almost like a mini caravan of people, maybe 400 to 500 people that assembled, right outside of the Darien Gap, and we all entered together. It was mostly Chinese, but there was other groups in there as well. I mean, there was Syrians in there, Afghans, Venezuelans, Ecuadorians. I think there was an Ethiopian couple in there. People from all over, and that group was about 500 people strong, and we crossed the gap.
Wow. How many journalists did you encounter on your journey?
None. I mean, not until we got to Mexico, where I met up with, or Guatemala rather, where I met up with some people that I know, though. I mean, so we're all in the same group there. But no, I as far as most of
the Washington Post, the New York Times wasn't along the way taking pictures of it all. How long, start to finish, land in Quito, end up getting kidnapped by the cartels in Mexico? How long did that take?
1 month exactly, October to November 15th.
Wow, unbelievable! A month.
Yes,
were you always in it, or did you ever? And listen, no shame, but did you ever swing by a hotel for a couple days and get some food and take a shower, or were you all in for a month?
Oh, 100%. No, all these people are doing that. I mean, unless you're super duper poor, like unless you're like straight up coming with nothing from Venezuela, with like actually $0 in your pocket. Everybody's stopping at hotels. You know what I mean? They're cheap. A couple bucks, you get a place to sleep, and you get a shower and everything, of course. Yeah, I mean, that's what everybody does. Like there might be a misconception that these people are just trekking up here, sleeping on the side of the road, and then, continuing to trek up. Or maybe some people do that, but it's far more organized than that. I mean, there's plenty of places, like designated waypoints along the way, that these people stop at and sleep at and keep going through. Nobody's like doing this like some sort of rugged, like mountain man or anything.
Yeah, but I guess even my question more was like, did you ever get out of character totally? I mean, like, did you ever stay at the Marriott and enjoy yourself in the beautiful beaches of Guatemala, or no? Did you always stay at just the cheap places?
Oh! The only expensive hotel we stayed at was right after we got outside of the Gap. There's a hotel that I stay at there. There's this Marriott over there. We stayed there for 2 nights to recuperate because. Some of our electronics had been busted, and I needed to actually like get to a good place where there's a mall right there. It's right next to it's called the Albrook Mall, this giant mall in Panama. And, we had to be like, okay, what's our next move? But other than that, no, I mean, there was a lot of, mostly run-down places we were staying at.
Well done. Okay, so you make it let's go to Colombia. So you're on the northern tip of Colombia, and you're about to get on this boat. How do you get on this boat to get into the Darien Gap?
There's boats leaving all the time. You go to this port city called Nicocli in Colombia, and you got to take a boat across. It's like this channel you need to take this boat across to get to the other side of this, which you're still in Colombia. But actually, it's interesting. The route we took wasn't that route. But basically, you go to Nicocli. There's boats everywhere, smugglers everywhere. It's like a human smuggling. The human smuggling capital of Colombia essentially is Nicocli. You go there. Smugglers everywhere, people walking up to you, they're saying, hey, do you need a guide through the gap? I could hook you up with somebody, or you could come with me. Instantly, as soon as you get off the bus, right? And,
Wow.
The whole town you get to this town, and there's shop after shop after shop of people just selling camping gear for, obviously, everybody that's about to go into the jungle, right? And so, I'm sorry, what was your question exactly?
No, that's it. So you go there. So that's it. So you paint that picture. So you hop on this boat, and it takes you into Panama and through this gap. So did you see the Brett Weinstein Tucker Carlson interview the other day?
Yes, I did.
Yeah, so he talks a lot about the Darien Gap. So we did a lot of details the other day about the Darien Gap specifically and how it's just completely impenetrable, and like you cannot do it, like you cannot make it through. So that now it makes sense why they kind of take you a little bit of the ways through it so that you can do this last part. But I'm so glad you did this and videotaped this part, because this is what I had no vision of. I was making up a movie in my head about what it possibly looked like, but like I wasn't even close. It is like, well, paint the picture. What is the Darien Gap look like as you're hiking through it?
Man, it's just, think of what a sort of, anybody that's thinking of just like, think of the Amazon. Well, it's not a rainforest, really. Just think of just trying to think of something that people would know about or know of. It's just a badass
the thickest jungle.
Just think of a jungle.
Yeah,
I don't know, think of Tarzan. You know what I mean? Like,
yeah,
serious jungle.
Yeah, that's it. Wow, how long were you in it for? The jungle.
We were in it for 2 days. Some people take much longer. Some people are in there for 5 days, right? But we were in there for 2 days, and the route that we took was this route that most of the special interest aliens took. It's the route that almost all of the Chinese take, where basically you get on a boat and you get smuggled from Colombia into Panama. They actually drop you off on the coast of Panama, but then you still have to walk basically east to west through the gap and then pop out on Highway 1 in Panama, and then they start all, taking bus into the U.S. But that's what we did. And so that one, you have to get smuggled into Panama on a boat, and then you get dropped off at this native indigenous village. They still live in bush huts. It's pretty intense. And then from there, these native people have made a giant living. Like their economy also now is centered around smuggling these people into or across the gap, right, to get to Highway 1. And these people are making tons of money. It actually has screwed a lot of these native villages in the long run, because they no longer have a stable, source of income. They've kind of turned their backs on whatever their stable source of income and revenue was, spanning over generations. They're losing that, and they're now just relying on this, on human trafficking, because it pays so much more. But eventually it's going to dry up, and I'm not sure what these people are going to do. But
I hope it dries up. How many miles was it? So, and how many miles and how many kids on this part? My 5-year-old we go about 3 mile hike before they're about done. So how long did you go, and how long are these kids going?
To be honest with you, we actually had a GPS tracker on us, and I never actually went in and calculated how far across we walked. Call it around 20 miles, maybe, over 2 days.
Yeah.
That's directionally accurate.
That sounds about right. So, and what, are kids doing this?
Our kid, oh yeah. To be honest with you, I was quite impressed. Some of these kids, I was like, how the heck are these kids? And I thought my brother and I thought we were putting in a decent pace. I was like, how are these kids like right behind us or walking with us? It was actually pretty impressive, some of them.
So is the only reason that this journey has to be done is because it's easier to get into Ecuador? Like, why don't Chinese people fly into Costa Rica and avoid the gap entirely? Or why don't they just fly into Guatemala or Mexico City? Like, why even mess around with this whole part of the journey?
Oh, some of them definitely do. When we were in Colombia, we stopped at this hotel that was right next to this pretty big airport in Colombia. And, you had people that were either flying into there. It was this city called Pasto in Colombia. And this hotel was full of Chinese. It was just U.S.-bound Chinese people. Anyway, you talk to them, and some of them were going to continue from there. They were going to go across the gap, and others, they were just stopping over there. and they were going to fly into Mexico. And it really just depends on, your level of access, I suppose. If you have a visa to get into Mexico, that's what they're going to do. Also, though, I also imagine that as you're answering this, I'm just thinking there's definitely an aspect of this where perhaps you want to go through the gap if you want to go through undetected. Maybe there's a reason you don't want to fly into Mexico and go through their system, right? Maybe there's a possible reason that maybe you actually want to go kind of incognito as much as possible and be unknown and go through the gap and take the most, I suppose, discreet way up here.
Yep.
There can be many reasons.
I have a ton more questions. I want everyone to go and watch this documentary. It's muckraker.com. You can also scroll down on my Twitter, Slater Radio on Twitter. Scroll down, you can watch. It's 40 minutes, and you have to watch it. But let me just get some big picture questions. What did you hope to accomplish with this journey? And did anything come out of it that you were surprised by?
Well, we hope to accomplish exactly what we accomplished, which was just exposing the whole entire route. I've seen and believe me, there was more we could have put in there, but obviously, people only have limited time, and so you got to put in just the most impactful stuff. So, but anyway, I've seen people do parts of this journey and put out information. Plenty of people have done documentaries on just the Darien Gap or just the Train of Death, but nobody's actually shown, okay, well, here's what's going on, here's the maps, here's who's organizing this, and done the whole route. I had never seen anybody actually do it and document it, and why not be the first? I mean, that's how you add value, right? Especially as a journalist, you got to find something unique and new. So that was it. Bottom line.
Yeah. What were you surprised by, or what did you not expect?
Along the way, I did not expect some of the levels of hostility from people towards myself and my brother when they found out that we were American. It's all cool until they find out you're an American, and then all of a sudden things could get pretty odd. I mean, that happened with this group of military-aged Syrian men. As soon as they found out we were American, they wanted nothing to do with us before we entered the gap. That should immediately raise, in my opinion at least, it should raise red flags. You're coming to my country, not my country, but it is my country.
It's
I
yours.
live here. But
it's yours.
You're coming. I'm not trying to sound presumptuous or anything, but you come
to
your
country.
You come to America, the United States of America. Allegedly, you're seeking asylum, right? That's what it's all about, right? You're seeking asylum, looking for a better life. I would imagine if you saw an American, you would be, curious. If nothing
They'd
else,
be buddies with you. I think, if anything, they'd become best friends.
Exactly. Hey, here's an American. Here's this person from this country whose lifestyle, I aspire to. Let's talk, or hey, what's going on, man? We're going to be neighbors soon. But no, it's just hostility, and that should raise red flags.
So that's interesting because you did talk to a lot of people on the way in this documentary, and it's pretty neat. You're like, hey, where are you from? And they're like, oh, Venezuela. Hey, cool, see ya. And it's like, all right. But then you talk to you put that scene in there where you talk to these people, and they it's the first people who cover their faces and won't talk to you at all, which is fascinating. So you have, it sounds like three groups. Maybe we'll call them Hispanics, and then people from the Middle East, who you're just speaking of, and then also the Chinese. And that's what Brett Weinstein was talking about specifically, are the amount of Chinese and how the Chinese are different. The way they talk to you, the way they don't talk to you, and the way they even travel, and the camps they're in are separate. And the Chinese aspect of this, he concluded, is very, very different than the other groups of peoples. Is that a fair assessment that you saw too?
Yeah, 100%. 100%. They're very organized. They got a lot of money, and their route up here is streamlined. I mean, they get through quick. They're on a mission.
Wow, they're on a mission. All right, what do we? Okay, the end of the story. Let's jump to the end. So you're about to cross over into Elon's property with SpaceX, and the cartel grabs you. So obviously you think you're going to die because, why would they not just kill you? But they didn't. What lesson did you get from that part? That it was actually, you didn't actually cross in illegally into America. So what are we to do with that?
What did I learn from it as far as did I get any sort of intel from that whole experience?
Could you have gotten in illegally, or why did you not? Did you have to pay the cartel in order to get across, or what?
Yeah, that's what I was told, was that I didn't even tell them that I was going to cross. My cover, which obviously didn't work, was that I was a photographer, and I was going to the, basically right there where the Gulf of Mexico spits out. or I'm sorry, where the Rio Grande spits out to the Gulf of Mexico. I was going there to take photos of SpaceX from the Mexican side. So I told them, they didn't believe me. And they were like, you're supposed to pay us $500 to cross in this area. And, we got taken up. I mean, I'll tell you some intel that I learned. The truck that picked us up originally on the Mexican side actually had Texas plates. Not that this really should surprise anybody, but it just shows and it was the Gulf Cartel. You got the Gulf Cartel that are clearly operating in Texas. And I mean, not that we know that the cartel operates across basically every state in the union, but I guess to see that more so, it just stuck out. I mean, these people, in my estimation, a lot more could be done to stop these people. They operate openly. There's videos of these people just dropping off, basically flipping off Border Patrol right there, a foot away from the United States, right there at the border, while flipping off Border Patrol, setting all these people in, and God knows what else. And it just happens, and they operate with impunity, and so much more can be done about this, but, nothing is done. And that, to me, alludes to possibly much, much, much deeper levels of corruption between these cartel organizations and local or state or possibly even federal governments.
That's a next level accusation that that's a dark place to go that I don't want to.
Listen, I don't even know how dark, man. I'm telling you, I don't even know how much of a stretch that is at all. I know. We know. Yeah, we know, for example, in Arizona, there's a lot of that. We know that the state government in Arizona, you have lawyers and such in there that work at the state level that are also lawyers for these cartel organizations. And then it's not coincidental, in my opinion, that you got in Arizona, you literally have camps on the U.S. side, where basically smuggling camps that are controlled by the cartel sitting there in the Arizona desert a couple of miles from Mexico that just operate with impunity. So I don't think that that's much of a coincidence.
Anthony Rubin,
we know for a fact that there are cartel lawyers, right? Lawyers for cartel members, known cartel members, working in the state government of Arizona.
Our police cannot be corrupt. It's over. Like it's over. If that becomes a widespread thing, it's over. We're no different than Mexico, and that's a massive, massive problem. But it's the norm around the world. Hasn't been here, but could be. Anthony Rubin, what's your next trip, man? How do you one up this journey?
Yeah, that's a great question. Well, we just put out if you go check this out, we just put out, we obtained undercover video from 3 of New York's illegal alien compounds, these massive mega facilities that nobody's allowed to even look into, where if you stand outside with a camera, they tell you put the camera down and don't film here. We obtained, pretty bombshell undercover video of, security guards on the scene talking about stabbings, talking about people committing suicide, talking about drugs on the premises. And then, it also includes interviews with these people that are living there who say, yeah, we're just waiting here and waiting for our Medicaid to come through, waiting for our government-issued ID, here's the welfare we're getting. It's pretty insane. It's a first-ever look inside these facilities. People go check that out.
Well done. Good job. Way to muckrake. Muckraker.com. How did you get muckraker.com? I feel like that would have been a tough website to get. Do you have to pay someone to get that website? Someone surely had
100%.
that.
Yeah, 100%. Well, I appreciate you appreciating that. Yeah, it took a while to put that together, or not took a while, but the stars aligned to get that and be able to trademark it and everything, and it ended up working.
It's like, yeah, good for you. You got muckraker.com. Wow, all right, nice, impressive. Anthony Rubin, keep up the good work, brother. Appreciate you.
Thanks so much. Appreciate it.